Your brand doesn't have an online reputation problem because of one bad review.
It has one because people are talking and you're not part of the conversation.
And sometimes one viral TikTok matters more than hundreds of 5-star reviews. People don't realize that, reputation used to live on Google and Yelp and sometimes even Facebook reviews. But today, it's mostly shaped in comment sections, viral clips, duets, stitches, and reaction videos.
Yes, I mean, we've seen it happen all the time. You know about a company or brand only from a viral video. And sometimes it's caused by uproar of a bad experience. Your brand story is no longer written by you alone. It's co-authored by the internet.
It really is. And right now, TikTok is often the first impression of brands. TikTok is having a big glow up on reviews and recommendations. And it's where people are giving their reactions, or they're like, here's my honest review, or here's where I tried for the first time. It's becoming that platform.
Yeah.
And that's where people are going.
Yeah, I mean, people, when they're deciding on something, they're going on TikTok versus before they even decided, and they're going to TikTok before Google.
Yeah, and the best kind of reputation management is more proactive and not reactive. It's not putting something out there because now you have all this bad responses. It's being there, already having positivity there. That way, if something or one video happens, it doesn't really shake you. And people don't just Google you anymore. They scroll, and that's where they're finding out new things.
All of this information. But to what you were saying, it's mainly found on TikTok. Of course, these are short-form videos, but there's a reason why it's on TikTok and not Reels. And it's like, it's what people always say, that TikTok is just like very authentic, and this supports that.
Yes.
Where everyone's going to share their authentic.
Exactly. While people might find some of that on Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, right now we're noticing TikTok being a review-heavy platform.
And like first
yes, I think a lot of people think, still of the old TikTok when it was Musical.ly, of like dance videos and lip dubs. And then people also know it for like travel hacks or, cleaning and real estate. But people forget that it's now really becoming a brand management tool.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it as we go. But it's almost that if you're not there, whether you're there or not, people are going to talk about you anyways. So it's important to be there. And I want to get into a really, really specific niche examples, because we live in Fort Lauderdale and our agency is in Fort Lauderdale, and the Fort Lauderdale fitness scene is cutthroat.
It's booming, and it's
Yes, it's very, very competitive.
Yeah.
So you have, Miami is huge. So Miami, you have all these different pockets. You have Wynwood, you have Gables, you have, downtown, you have Edgewater. You have a lot of options.
So many people and different kinds of people in all those neighborhoods.
Yes,
it's really hard.
But it's busy enough, but there's pockets. Whereas Fort Lauderdale, while you do have some pockets and areas, really you have the bulk of the people living within a 2-mile radius.
Yes.
So everyone really is within this one area.
Small.
And there's a lot of companies, businesses, small businesses, little, fitness boutique studios competing for the same people to join.
Yeah.
So a very specific example I saw is Yogi Thought. So Yogi Thought is her name. That's the owner, but then she opened her own, Vanessa opened her own studio after herself, Yogi Thought. And she has different people come in to train and teach. It's not just her. And they do mat Pilates, they do yoga, they do a little bit of everything. Yes. And, a lot of people have said they like going. And there was this one.
Met some of the yoga instructors here at our co-working space the other day.
Oh, yeah. So there's always, there's a bunch of, and there's a big yoga scene down here. But there was one video of a girl, she had her, and this is also another hot take of, we're not going to get into this now, but a lot of people have a lot of feelings of whether these classes should be filmed or not. But I get it. Some people, that's their livelihood. They're influencers. They're making content.
It's also their accountability, and they want to see like how they look. Everyone has their own reasons.
Exactly. So this person was filming the class, and she was doing one of those like almost like a plow, where like your feet are over your head. And for people who don't know what a plow is, and I guess it was not right. And everyone looked like they were all doing something different in the video. So the instructor literally like stopped the music and kind of called out the one girl. And
the one girl who was recording.
Yes. And kind of the wrong person to call out because her phone is right on. And she called her out, and everyone can have their opinion on it. But whether you know the story or don't know the story, at first glance, it did seem like a rough call out.
Yes.
I would be embarrassed. I would feel like so small. I think I would shrink in my mat if I was the person called out that way. It wasn't a gentle nudge.
It was
like
pretty
sassy.
take off your mic and go to her silently.
Yeah, it wasn't helpful at all. So she obviously felt embarrassed, rightfully so. And I think that embarrassment feeling, it sucks for sure. And I mean, when's the last time anyone's been embarrassed? I feel like it's like kind of not often. It's like not like we're in school or so, like it definitely catches you off guard.
Yeah.
And she posted it on her TikTok because she felt some kind of way. Well, so did many people. The last I checked when I was pulling notes for this episode, 12.6 million views on this one short TikTok from this small studio in Fort Lauderdale.
But then she posted like 2. I went to her profile and she posted like 2 to 3 more from like
Following up.
duration of the class.
Yes. So she
showed more.
But the main one, 12.6 million views. That's not something that, a local studio could even pay for an ad for that to get that many views or to get that many comments and attraction.
Yeah.
So the problem there is then what does a brand do? And what does a brand say? Now, there's a lot of ways to handle it. When I got my master's at the University of Florida, one of our classes was all about reputation and basically it was crisis management. And in that moment, sometimes the best thing for a brand to do is maybe contact that person directly or try to smooth it over directly. But I think almost this brand went the other way and they doubled down and they created so much content and they had all these people talking about how much they loved the studio. It was almost like too little too late in a sense, because if all these people loved the studio, where were their videos before?
Yeah.
Now they're out. It almost seems like it's in retaliation. Or it seems like it's compensating. Yes. And then it almost seems like, why is the brand going so heavy on this? Why are they pushing? Where I think they could have stepped back a little, but everyone handles things differently.
Yes.
But I was at dinner on Saturday with a group of girls and many of them said they don't even want to go back because of the way the brand handled it. They kind of feel uncomfortable because now they don't know. What if they have a bad experience? Will they also get videos made about them? Will they also be like, they kind of feel uneasy now versus welcomed or versus, the humility of, this is what happened. This is not, it's out of context.
I've seen that for a lot of brands. They will an apology letter, just seeking
and sometimes
acknowledging it.
Right. And sometimes just not drawing attention, but acknowledging it directly with the person also is enough. I mean, I'm big on when I go to restaurants and I go out all the time. And I grew up with a family who works in the hospitality industry. If something happens, like if I get my dinner and there's an issue with my dinner, I am not blasting it on TikTok. No. Usually I'm going to tell the server or the manager and they're going to make it right. And that issue or that, situation is never going to be brought up online because I don't think one situation necessarily has to dictate the success of that restaurant or, or that waiter's tip per se. Like if it was the kitchen's fault, it's not their fault. Exactly.
I have another story also. My mom used to work in the service industry in the beauty space. And sometimes, unfortunately, they get even a 3 or 4-star review. We would message them and be like, hey, like, we're so sorry, XYZ happened. Or can you give us a little bit more detail and how we can make it right?
Yes.
That is like, if you're going to go online, it's up to like the agency or it's up to the business to see what they can do and how they can make it right. But I stand with you also. Like if I'm not happy with a service, like people ask you in the service industry, how was XYZ? And that's your time. Say something.
And now if they don't make it right, then you go the next
review.
But people are not like you and I.
Yes.
And that's what brands have to be more worried about.
Yes.
Because likely people are going to talk about something that they had an issue with more than something that's great.
Yes.
Unless you're really inviting a great conversation, unless you're really rewarding people to champion your brand. And you know what? The algorithm doesn't care how long you've been open, how many 5-star reviews you have on Yelp, how great your retention is. It cares about engagement, shareability, and controversy.
Because that is what helps the platform.
Yeah, people stay on, people are engaging. So the more comments, the more pile up.
That video, the comment sections were full. And my friend, she goes, is that a studio? And she was like, oh my gosh. But I actually heard about that video first from a different, like Miami, yoga instructor that I follow, and I heard her talking about this scenario, but I didn't realize it was at Yogi Thought first.
Yes.
So that is how I first heard about
And
it.
another example, we're not picking on one studio or another, but another example is Sculpt.
Yes.
They were a newer studio that opened, and they really got, under the fire on TikTok. It was one after the next, after the next. People started piling on.
One, and then people piled on.
Yes. And there are people I know and who go there and they love going there and they have a positive experience there. But it doesn't matter about the positive experiences. If people are only on TikTok for 10 minutes and they see that video and they only see the one, that could stop them from going somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think it's being able to be confident in your own company and your brand, putting out your own content and championing the ones who are celebrating you, that the positivity will outweigh the negativity if you're proactive. Yes. But if you're only putting positive things out after the fact, it does look like you're covering or it looks like you're compensating. So as a brand, especially if you work with a social media agency like us, or even if you're doing it on your own, it's trying to think of those things before that happens, because life is life and you can't control every aspect of every employee and everyone who works for you, and get ahead of it as best as you can.
I mean, I have one more example also in the Fort Lauderdale community is a coffee shop, Papa Thanks So Much. And same thing, one influencer on TikTok or food reviewer, she went in and she didn't love the presentation. She just didn't love her item. And she went online saying not so positive things. And the owner of the coffee shop, she responded and was like, can you come back in? We would love to make this right.
Yes.
And I think that is such a great way to combat a review. And then she went back on and was like, guys, I fixed it. And it was partially her fault. She wasn't stirring her drinks.
Yeah.
My latte is all milk. And then the owner of the coffee shop also went online and was like, here's how your drink comes, but you have to stir it.
Right.
So
right. But it made it a nice moment in the sense of they took a step and made it right.
Yes.
And then made content out of it and made an example versus
they were a new coffee shop, so they're taking this feedback and actually absorbing it and learning from it.
Yes.
So now they know to tell everyone to stir the
Yes. It might be served in a cute look, That's like when I go to Alma Matcha.
Exactly.
And the milk and the matcha, you have to stir it. But, it might be on that brand that, okay, now that we saw that, when we serve it, we'll tell people, make sure you stir it before you drink it.
Yes.
But it's the aesthetic of it to have it this way.
I mean, same thing. I went to Motec and I ordered this new dish that they had and we didn't love it. So, same thing. I told them and they were like, can you tell us what's wrong? It's a new menu item. And we were like, okay, XYZ. And they were like, okay, now we can adjust. But that's why they're asking what's wrong. And that's time to say what's wrong.
It is.
But in person, not online.
Exactly. And as social media managers, it's a reminder for all of us, as an agency, but if anyone's working on social media, the social listening is not optional. No. You can't post and ghost. You can't just put up content and never look at what the conversations are happening.
Looking at your engagement.
You have to be monitoring the engagement, the systems, and you need a response framework. We have some clients, especially this one specific one in the finance space, where they get a lot of negative feedback because people just don't qualify or people just don't know or they're uninformed. Yes. So we have a response framework approved from the brand. I mean, listen, you and I are experts at a lot of things, but we're not experts in banking and finance, that's for sure. No. But the company is, and we have this framework. We relate to them what's going on, and we're all part of this team to get the information out there, and that's called being proactive.
Yes, we have a response plan for positive and negative, and same for home care. This is a government-funded company, and same thing. We aren't experts in eligibility, but we have a detailed framework that's approved by the client for us to respond, and that we can respond immediately because that's what they hired a social media agency for. Is community management.
And something that you and I already talked about, but just hitting this point again, is that we all have a responsibility as consumers to, if something's great, leave a review, keep showing up, spend your money there, share it publicly, tell the chef, tell the owner. Don't be quiet about a positive experience. Yeah, definitely give credit where credit is due, especially in a world where it feels like small businesses can be piled on. It's already hard enough to be a small business in today's world.
Yes.
There was a post recently that a lot of I want to say it's 5 or 6 restaurants in Fort Lauderdale are closing, and some of them were only open a couple of months. And whether they deserve to close or not, that's really not the point of the story, but the point is that if something is great, we don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like we all have a responsibility. If we're going to leave a bad review or we're going to even like absorb some of these things, we should also keep putting out the good as well.
As like a small community, it's really important to support these other small businesses.
Yes. Yes. And I think as a
positive way.
Yes. And I think as a, a social media manager, if you see a great review or you see people doing this for you, championing them, why not maybe say, this was so nice. Here's a $25 gift card to come back. Or this is so nice. We're going to send you a PR package of makeup.
Or we'll invite you back.
Yes. And then more people will be inclined because they feel like it's appreciated as well. So it's, it goes both ways. Don't just absorb the positivity and, take it. Sometimes you can also make it go a little further because, running a small business is already hard. Online backlash can be devastated, but it's learning what to do and how to combat it that's going to make your business thrive and not suffer.
Local businesses, they're trying to make a living, they're real people, and these are real businesses that we're talking about. So it's really important to remember that not everything needs to be broadcasted, especially when real livelihoods are included.
Yes, and social media gives everyone a megaphone. I mean, it gives the small people and the big influencers, kind of everyone has the same voice and the same chance to go viral, but that doesn't mean every thought needs to be broadcast. And it also doesn't mean that everything that a brand responds to needs to be broadcast. Sometimes we take conversations offline for our clients. If someone's upset, I work a lot of events with some of our clients and, maybe it's offering someone tickets to come back for free the next time, but we're not going to advertise that all over.
On the
we're going to handle it.
Section.
Yes, we're going to handle it quietly. We move forward. And that's how we choose to do it. So we're not adding to a pile-on and giving away, all these tickets. And as we talked about, reputation today is co-created. So it's by brands, by audiences, and how we choose to engage online.
And a reminder for brands, it's important to consider how you show up consistently, respond humanely, and be prepared for visibility.
Yeah, I think sometimes people forget there's humans on the other side and vice versa. And would you say that to someone to their face? Or would, and I think people forget that. And I've read some really nasty comments to some of my clients. And I'm like, would that person complain that way?
In person?
Yes.
Are you hiding behind a screen? It's just not really fair for
No, and that leads our, recommendations for consumers. Lead with empathy, amplify the good, and remember there are real people on the other side of the screen. Sometimes you get more bees with honey than without. So if something really is not great or something's not right, you have the power to kind of make it right. And you know what? I'm not stopping people if they really had a miserable experience and you want to amplify it online because you went to the right, you went to the corporations or you did all the things.
No,
and that's your last resort.
You tried at the establishment,
right?
Then that's when you.
Or if you want to be honest, I mean, everyone, everyone's has the ability and the right to be honest online, but just know as a brand that it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So be prepared. And so you're not feeling rocked.
Yes. Have a set plan established with either with your agency or within your internal team.
Exactly. And if this episode made you rethink how you post, comment, or react online, share it to your stories and tag us at You Heard It Here podcast because the internet remembers and people do matter.